Welcome to today's episode, everyone. I've got two very exciting guests for you guys. For those of you just joining the podcast, we're E.N.G Media, and we specialize in helping software and tech companies scale their revenue. So if you want to learn how to take your software or tech business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop us the word growth in the DMs. But without further ado, Sai and Atul, thank you both so much for joining me today on the podcast. I'm really excited for the audience to find out about Hyperbound and all the awesome things that you guys are working on.
Amazing.
Yeah, Tyson, we're excited to be here.
Awesome, guys. So maybe we can just start by, for those in the audience that don't know, kind of just explaining what Hyperbound is, what are your guys' core areas of focus, and really just your background up to this point.
Awesome. I can start. Thank you so much for having us, Tyson. Appreciate it. My name is Sriharsha, co-founder, CEO here at Hyperbound. A little bit about Hyperbound. Hyperbound, we are built for training large enterprise sales teams. So imagine you've got 500, 600 sales reps. You got to onboard them, you got to certify them, and you got to get them sales ready for the field. How do you do that efficiently and quickly? We've developed an AI roleplay technology to allow you to practice your conversations at scale. And this technology is really the future of sales coaching and sales enablement.
100%. No, that is super awesome. And can you maybe speak to like what your guys' mission and vision was behind starting this company? Like, did you guys just necessarily see a gap in the market, or kind of what's behind that, I guess?
Well, the space that we entered here, if you talk to most folks in sales, is quite an obvious one. In fact, many of the folks in sales were kicking themselves that they didn't think of this idea, or they wish they had something like this when they were first learning how to sell. It's so natural to be able to want to practice in a sandbox for something that's so high stress and high anxiety, like these sales conversations, especially when you're new at a company, especially when something's changed. Messaging has changed, the product has changed, the positioning has changed, competitors have changed, and all of these are happening day to day for sales reps. So for Sai and I, the idea came about because we were trying to sell. We were trying to sell our previous product into the market, and we needed help trying to sell that. We didn't want to bottle any real customer sales conversations. Those were gold to us. Every single one of them was really, really valuable. So how do we practice? Let's create a sandbox for us to practice in. And that was the original version of Hyperbound. The sales folks that we talked to loved it. And they wanted that over the product that we were selling originally. So that was really where we ended up rolling into the space.
Awesome. That is super awesome. I think what you mentioned as well about the actual sales conversations, a lot of people do treat those as kind of practice, but like what you said, especially in the beginning, those are gold. I mean, you don't want to be wasting valuable opportunities practicing whenever you can just use, maybe another platform and really still be able to leverage the relationships that you're looking to build, especially early on. And I know that you guys also, something that I wanted to bring up was Y Combinator, and the fact that you guys have been able to have success. You've gone through the program and you guys are just absolutely crushing it. Could you maybe speak to what it was like going through YC and how it really shaped the direction for Hyperbound?
Absolutely. Yeah, YC has been a transformational experience for the both of us. It's funny, before we started YC, Atul and I had no idea that we would be where we are today, in such a short period of time. We kind of just applied to Y Combinator in 2023 with 15 different ideas at the time, actually. And, we just knew that we wanted to start something. And as soon as we got in, our life changed overnight. Next thing you know, we have money in the bank, we're hiring folks, we're trying to validate which idea made the most sense to work on. And it took us nearly 6 months to really land on what we're working on today. But in the process, the amount of relationships that we built, the amount of experience we gained by just being in the field, talking to people. In fact, believe it or not, Atul and I actually did 2,000 user interviews in the course of 6 months before we landed on this idea. And a lot of people ask us, how were you able to have 2,000 conversations? How'd you book that many meetings? And it was pure cold outbound.
Oh, wow.
It was just cold email, cold LinkedIn, and I think that's what got us so hyped about solving a problem in sales, because we were literally doing the work of a salesperson every single day and realizing how difficult that is. And we're like, if we can solve that problem, then this could be a huge market for us, and boy, like it's been a journey for us.
I bet. And I know it, probably for those in the audience and kind of just hearing it myself, it sounds a lot easier than it probably actually, well, I know, I'm 99% sure it was extremely hard to get to the position that you guys are at now. And so, being a founder, kind of dealing with, balance, as we talked about before this call, you were on a call with the client before this podcast here, and, you made time for that. And so could you maybe speak to your guys' experience and how it's been kind of balancing rapid growth between not only creating, product innovation, but also like your guys' go-to-market strategy and making sure that like everything is kind of at a sustainable level?
Yeah, I mean, the balance between focusing on go-to-market, focusing on product, focusing on hiring, building out a great team, focusing on all the other things that come with operationalizing a company that is scaling quickly is quite difficult, right? There are many ways, many forks along the road where you can get it wrong. And I think the primary split that Sriharsha and I have been using that has worked really well is splitting new logo from post-sale, and also splitting product from new logo. So the way that we have our Hyperbound set up is Sriharsha focuses on essentially new logo acquisition, and then I focus on handling the customer success, so post-sale, but I also focus on product, because the customers and product are tied so closely together. That makes our customers really, really happy, right? Like it's there. The words that come out of their mouth on Monday is being implemented on the product on Wednesday. Right. So that loop is really tight, but it also allows us to put an entire founder's worth of weight on new logo, which is really, really important at this stage. So that split is how we've operationalized it. We've seen it done, differently at other startups, but this one works really well for us.
Yeah, I love it. So it's like on the front end, any new potential client knows that they're talking to one of the founders of the company that's dealing with them, and then once they get in, they're not just kind of passed off to third party, other employees, and they're still dealing with co-founder. And so I love that split, and it's something that myself and my business partner as well have had to figure out, like what kind of roles that we're going to take on and how those are really going to help us grow. So I appreciate you guys sharing some insight behind that. And now I really want to dive into some real use cases of what Hyperbound is. A lot of people, when they hear an AI company, they're always looking for actual proof that it works and results, right? And so can you guys maybe speak to, or we could just start by talking about how AI is really transforming sales coaching and certification? Like, what does that really look like for your guys' clients?
Well, Sriharsha, if you got a story, I'll let you go for it, but I want to tell a story of the 2,600 reps we recently upskilled.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sweet. So I love this one, Tyson. So put yourself in the shoes of a sales leader with nearly 3,000 reps, and your product team comes to you this year and says, "Hey, we're launching 30 new products this year across the entire global sales team in every region, in every language, needs to learn how to sell this in 4 months. Otherwise, our revenue targets for the year are screwed." What do you do? All right, you come to Hyperbound, and Hyperbound gives you the ability to train 2,600 reps on all these different SKUs of products instantly. So we were able to upskill this amount of reps on all this huge amount of change management, 30 new products, different competitors for each product, different messaging for each product, different positioning for each product. We were able to upskill them on all of this within a matter of 3 to 6 weeks. Right. So what they were anticipating was going to be a botched rollout at the end of, nearly 2 quarters to 3 quarters. We were able to do it under 1, and that's really the magic of a powerful change management solution like Hyperbound when it comes to the enterprise, and that's why we're so beloved by our customer base.
I love it. I appreciate you sharing that as well. And Sai, did you want to add anything really to this point, or do you think that pretty much encapsulated it?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with Atul. I think where Hyperbound really excels is when you have, a very complex process. You have a complex product. You might have a variety of different industries you're selling into, a variety of different personas you're selling into, right? And that's when you start to run into the bottleneck of there's just no way to spend one-on-one time for every rep and get them enough at-bats to the point where they feel comfortable selling in all of these different scenarios, right? And part of the goal with Hyperbound is, can we map those out, right? And can we get every rep comfortable and confident in those situations? And can we do that in a short amount of time, right? Because typically, the numbers show this. When you hire a group of reps, usually at the 6-month drop off, usually at the 6-month point, you have a big drop off, right? Typically, you can expect around 40% of your reps leaving at the 6-month mark based on industry benchmarks. And it's the number one reason for reps leaving at that point is often that they don't have enough at-bats or they don't get enough training or coaching. And surveys show that as well. And so it's like, how can we make sure the rep is fully enabled in those first 6 months, because that's going to make sure they stick with you longer. And at the end of the day, the longer they stick with you, the more top performers you end up with, a couple years down the line.
100%. Yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better myself. And I think like where you guys are coming in and providing a solution, being on the sales front, that's one of the highest leverage, activities that can really take place in a business. So, since you guys are working with these larger enterprises, I'm sure that, they're probably getting pressure from like the board or maybe some of their investors to implement AI into their business, not only to make it more efficient, but also to keep helping it grow, in a sustainable way. Do you guys really, or I guess, what is your vision for how salespeople will be trained kind of moving forward into the future, like the next couple of years?
Like Tyson, I've got no doubt in my mind that every sales org is going to adopt something like Hyperbound, if not Hyperbound, within the next, 1.5 to 2 years. This is just an inevitability of the sales space, right? Because you're now taking sales excellence, sales performance, from being something that, you hope and pray that reps get to something that AI is making inevitable. Inevitably, all of your reps are going to be high performant if they do put in the time with something like Hyperbound, or you're going to find out so soon and you're going to get rid of them faster. So this is really the direction that the space is moving in, and that wave is something that's been growing and growing every month since we launched this product in January last year. Like the awareness for the space, the amount of folks like asking for a product here is just increasing. It feels like every day. So this feels really like an inevitability in the space.
100%. Yeah, I think it's just going to keep growing more and more, being the need for AI to be implemented into the important levers of really in any business. And what I really love about Hyperbound as well is you guys do have a potential free option. So if there's maybe a large enterprise that finds your guys' website or comes across a podcast like this, they can always essentially try out the majority of the features for free. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do have a demo on our website where we have a couple different free bots that you can try out. In fact, we get thousands of calls being done on there every single day. We have reps that come back over the course of 6-7 months just to get in their reps and practice on there. And yeah, it is free. So if you want to try it out yourself, you're free to go to our website and give it a shot. The bots aren't easy.
Oh yeah, I think the challenge is needed though, kind of to get results, and then once you want to get to that next level, at that point, that's where you guys can build out more of a customized solution for them, I guess. And really, one of my next questions, especially from a marketing perspective, we kind of talked about that you guys have, a free trial option. You mentioned doing some outbound, early on, really putting yourself in the same shoes as your ICP. Do you guys have any, main marketing strategy, I guess, around how you guys have been able to grow? Because you're documenting it in real time, on LinkedIn, how you guys are rapidly able to grow the company. My question, I guess, is there any secret sauce, or is it something that's just more sustainable?
Yeah. I think the thing with our growth, Tyson, is the secret sauce. It's not really a secret. It's really all out in the open. I mean, if you go to LinkedIn and look at Atul and my profile, you'll find there's pretty much a post every other day, if not every day, over the last year. And that was very much by design, and it's all about consistency, right? It's about building in the open, and updating your audience on everything that you're doing, and going to showing up everywhere. Atul and I don't shy away from flying out to different states, and in some cases even different countries, if it means meeting someone in person, and having just even a coffee with them, right? Because we live in a world where we're all hiding behind our computers, behind these Zoom calls, and people are meant to be in person and interact with other people, other humans, and we really believe in that vision, and that's why we're also building Hyperbound. It's like we believe that like enabling the human with AI is the way to go, right? Not replacing the human. And so a big piece of what we're also trying to practice as a part of that is how can we as a company have the culture of being in person, right? Like building those relationships. And so Atul and I are very, very hands-on. We'll go to every conference, right? We'll show up to every event, and if there's any way to show up somewhere, even if it means it's happening in like 2-3 days and we have no lead time to prep, we'll make it happen, just because it's really important to us to be everywhere. So yeah, I think it's just that, and a lot of founders struggle with that because it's a lot of energy, and they don't really know where to start or how to get going. But I think it's just, for us, we're just testing, experimenting every single day. As long as we're consistent, that's all that matters.
I love it. So again, really, there's no secret sauce. It sounds like you guys focus mainly on building relationships by doing the unscalable tasks, whereas everybody else is trying to automate like new business. You guys are really at the forefront of building those relationships, and then also kind of just building in public. So an inbound strategy. I mentioned to you as well, Sai, that I watched a podcast about the founder of Freshworks, and he's talking about like how inbound has really it's really grown, especially in the AI space, with everybody that's looking for these AI solutions, these enterprise companies looking for marketing and sales AI. So people are already out there searching. So as you guys build in public and you guys share, churn, like your experiences with churn, your experiences with growing accounts with, potential clients, I think that all of that will find the right people, and you're kind of, message, like positioning the messaging specifically to your ICP. So on one front, you're building relationships. On the other front, you're doing inbound the right way, which is just being authentic and really documenting your guys' story. So
yeah. I think that's the key word, man. It's authenticity and honesty, right? Like if you look at our posts too, like Atul and I, as much as we talk about our successes, we equally talk about our failures, because they're always the drivers, right? Every time we make a mistake, that's how we improve and get better. And we are happy to admit to those mistakes, put them out in public so that other people can avoid making those same mistakes in the future. So I think you're exactly on point there. It's the authenticity and honesty, and people appreciate that.
100%. Yeah, I think if you're going to do organic content like it, there's only really a couple right ways to do it. So I love that. And really my next question is, I guess, what would you say are some big goals for Hyperbound in the next 12 months? Like, are you guys looking to work in any other like specific industries, or kind of, do you guys have any quantifiable goals?
The main goal, Tyson, is to dominate the AI roleplay space. Right? We already, because we're the first movers in the space, because we had such an early lead on it early on technology-wise, we did end up with somewhat the Kleenex of the category title. But what we're trying to do now is suck the air out of the room. And you're going to see a lot of what that means in the next 6 to 8 to 12 months. But yeah, you're going to see a lot of growth from Hyperbound, and not just a lot of industry verticals, but also looking to some of the non-traditional spaces that SaaS, specifically sales tech SaaS, hasn't touched as much. There are folks in manufacturing, there are folks in logistics, there are folks in all these other verticals who benefit greatly from Hyperbound right now, and they are completely underserved by anyone other than Salesforce or the very, very large players right now. So those are the spaces that we're seeing a lot of customer love for Hyperbound. And you're going to see a lot more growth in those areas moving forward.
I love it. Super exciting. And Sai, did you want to add anything to that point?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Atul. I think the traditional industries, we're going to see a massive, increase in adoption of AI in general. And we've already seen that with Hyperbound as well. Every time we have a non-traditional company come in, every time we have a traditional company come in, they're always quick to make a decision compared to some of the B2B SaaS companies we work with. So definitely seeing that. Even from a product perspective, we believe that Hyperbound, let me put it this way. Coaching has become a word that many people have different definitions of. I will say this, I've coached our reps at Hyperbound, and I've gotten coaching over the last year from my own sales coach as well. And I can tell you there's so much to be unlocked there that I don't even think we've started to think about, right? Like when a rep joins a company, how do you make sure that they're not only enabled in those first 6 months, but even beyond that, right? Their entire life cycle. And how do you give them that like one-on-one support, right? And I think there's a lot to be done there. Our product is not even close to that as it is today. But in the future, in these next 6-7 months, we're going to see a big change in that.
No, that is super exciting. And one question that I always love to ask as well, especially from somebody providing, a sales tech solution such as your guys' self, if you could wave a magic wand, let's just say hypothetically speaking, and you could solve one thing really in the business that's getting in the way of your guys' growth, do you think that would be more on like the product side of things, like, making your guys' AI, better necessarily, or is it mainly on like the growth front? And that's like, which one, I know if both could increase, it would definitely help, but if you had to pick one, do you guys know which one that would be?
I think we're fairly aligned on this, but I'll let Sriharsha answer first. I want to hear what he has to say.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts as well. But I think for me, so Tyson, Atul and I are both engineers. When it comes to product, we feel pretty confident that we'll figure it out and that we can build fast and all of that. I think the biggest blocker for us is we have a high bar to bring in new employees, and genuinely, in some ways, I would say that's been more of a blocker for us than product or anything else. It's really just finding the perfect person for every role we have. Right now, we're hiring for 6 to 7 different roles. And, we get hundreds of applications every week, but it's very hard to find the diamond in the rough. And as you know, every startups make or break based on the people that are running it, right? And so for us, like I feel like that's been a little bit of a blocker. It's something that we're trying to fix right now. We don't have like an internal recruiter, but we're working on speeding up that process. But once we grow the team here, I think we can do some pretty amazing things. We're a little bit bandwidth constrained at the moment, but in a good way. There's a lot of things to be done.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and Atul, would you agree with that, or were you thinking something completely polar opposite?
I agree with Sai that is one of our biggest challenges. But I think that there's another one out there that we're also laser focused on, and that is educating the space. So the market for our product is huge. And like I say, it is an inevitability. Everyone will learn about the space in 1 to 2 years' time. Everyone will adopt a solution in the space. We want to be the first one who introduces everyone to that space. And that market education is something that is quite difficult for anyone, let alone a startup, to do. And that's something that we have been investing a lot of time and a lot of resources in. So you're going to see a lot coming out from us in essentially the next 2 months, right, Sai? We got some pretty major campaigns launching. So yeah, the market education is our biggest priority.
I love it. I think both of those two things are really high leverage, and kind of once you guys have a full grip on them are going to help you guys completely explode. And hopefully this podcast as well helps to educate about your guys' solutions, and I hope to see you guys on more podcasts as well. Really excited to see all the awesome things you guys are working on. And kind of on that topic as well, if there is anybody that's maybe watching this podcast, they want to connect with you too, or they want to check out Hyperbound outside of the website, is LinkedIn really the best place for them to go and connect, or what would you guys say?
Yeah, so LinkedIn's a great place. Feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn, shoot us a message. You can also email us at founders@hyperbound.ai if you have any questions or you're interested in learning more about Hyperbound for your team. But I think the easiest way to get a taste of Hyperbound is just go on our website, hyperbound.ai, and just hit the start free demo button and give it a shot yourself and see if it makes sense for your team.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to include the links in the description of this video. I highly recommend that you guys do go check out Hyperbound and obviously all the awesome things that they're working on. But really, then, other than that, thank you guys so much today for your time and for your insights today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us, Tyson. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Tyson.
Of course. Alrighty, guys, we'll catch you in the next video.